Cloud. Okay, so there's just one announcement that I put into the notes, which is we plan on having a SIG CLI face-to-face. This is one of the few times per year in which the SIG CLI actually is able to get together. And this is going to be at KubeCon North America. It's all the way in November, November 18th through the 21st in San Diego. We just want to mention this in case people need to plan very far in advance. So does anybody else have any other announcements? Okay.
I can introduce Cornelius.
There you go. Yes.
All right. So on the call with me, there's Cornelius here. He's a new maintainer on the Crew project.
Okay, let me get that.
Cornelius, do you want to add anything?
Yeah. So I'm Cornelius. As Ahmed said, I'm active on the Crew project right now. I've also contributed to Scaffold a little. And so my biggest achievements so far are integration tests for Crew. And the big things on the horizon now is getting multi-index, the multi-index feature in Crew. So that there's not only the centralized index, but several indices.
Okay. Why don't I share the notes here? I will notes. Okay. Can everybody else see the notes for the meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. So moving on from the announcements, our test grid, we still have some specific Google tests failing. We actually fixed a problem with, oops, I think I clicked on the wrong one, which was, trying to get to the test grid. SIG CLI meeting notes. Sorry for the wait. I think we got plenty of time today. I'm not able to actually, there. So that's not the test. We don't want that. We want the test grid. Sorry about that. Okay, so there's still some Google specific failures that we fixed one of them and we uncovered another. Again, this is on me to dig into this and to fix this. Okay. Let me get back to the notes. Okay, so for the topics, I guess this is time for Ahmet to talk about the Crew topic that he mentioned. Ahmet, are you able to do that?
Yeah, I'm still here. So as I said, basically what I'm seeking to get out of this is to, if you can, go to Google today and search kubectl plugins, you're gonna land to the Kubernetes.io documentation. And what I'm willing to is add a document, add a section in there, basically saying that please, if you're considering to write a plugin, please consider packaging it for crew because it gives you these, benefits over packaging it with like apps or Homebrew or something like that. So these are the main reasons that I'm trying to do that. The reason I'm asking for permission is because the project is, still a bit early. It's not super stable. We're moving a lot of things here and there. Like we're trying not to break users and developers as much, but we are doing that sometimes still. So it's like still 0.2. So I wasn't exactly sure whether it's okay. And I haven't seen a lot of examples of like sub projects, being mentioned in the official documentation. So yeah, what are the thoughts on this?
So I think it actually, so Crew is an official sub-project of SIG CLI, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I have absolutely no problem with that at all. Phil, do you have any thoughts on it?
I think it makes sense to tell people, make people aware of the benefits of packaging with Crew. We should probably, we can cover this in the review, but we should probably just make sure that we accurately represent the maturity of Crew, and like whatever, if there's any reason they wouldn't use Crew, just make sure we include that as well. So folks know, rather make sure, maybe it makes sense to say that this is our preferred approach we recommend, but also let people know like how to determine what the right solution is for them.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Does, on a related note,
yeah,
do plugins work for Windows?
I think there's a PR out there fixing it right now. Like instead of using exec syscall, they're planning to use like fork. So like the plugin will run as a sub process instead of replacing kubectl. I think that PR was merged. I haven't been following. I think it was merged, but I'm not sure if it made it to a release yet.
Okay. Cool.
Historically, we've tested Crew with Windows plugins and it works fine.
Crew works fine. The plugins don't.
At some point, plugins used to, I think, also work fine. Someone moved someone changed how we invoke the plugins, and I think we didn't have Windows tests, and that's why it broke.
Yeah, I believe that. Maciej and I discussed also having like a SIG CLI authored plugin group that maybe we want to of functionality that we would consider shipping with Kube Control, but haven't packaged them together yet because of the maturity level or other reasons. So that I don't know if that's related to this, but
I guess sort of. There are other sub-projects like, for example, Nginx Ingress, another Kubernetes sub-project is using actually Crew today. So like they're relying on it as a primary installation method. So I would say like there's a bit of acceptance out there, but we're not quite where we want to be. I mean, plugins are GA, so I don't know how we want to treat it.
Despite not working on Windows.
Yeah, they're GA.
Great. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's interesting to know about the Nginx thing. Maybe a follow-up thing then would be to make like a hub for the project-owned plugins for various SIGs. So each SIG can publish we have a list of the repos or plugins for each of the SIGs and have them distributed through Crew. Yeah,
that makes sense. I feel like we should probably also as the Crew project, we should give more stand-ups because there has been some developments going on and some new plugins coming in that are somewhat significant. There is interest within Google to actually finally interest within Google to also distribute kubectl plugins for various projects that are not released yet. So I'll loop some of the Googlers in there as well. Feel like the plugins will be adopted more and more. So it would be good if we should come and I think we should come and give more stand-ups.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Or at least maybe each SIG CLI meeting, at least on the notes, even if someone can't be here, have the maybe a status update on any new plugins that are being added or major improvements.
Yep, absolutely. So I think that's all I was going to ask.
Cool. Yeah, makes sense to me. Where is that again being added? Is that the kube control repo or something else?
What did you ask again? Is the documentation?
Yeah, where's the document? Or is that on the
Talking
KDOS.io?
about the official kubectl plugins documentation, like on the Kubernetes.io.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yep.
Ahmet, can you, I'm not sure I got the notes for this topic correct. Can you update those with your understanding of what we discussed here?
Sure.
Thanks.
As we are already speaking about crew, maybe I have another topic there, because we're still trying to define criteria for plugins. So everybody can submit plugins to the crew index, but not all of them feel right there. So what we were trying to achieve was to get some criteria that will help us to make an objective and not such a subjective decision as to whether those plugins should go into the centralized index or not. And these criteria are right now sitting in a pull request to the crew index. And it's still waiting for review and input from other people. So if you have time to have a look at these criteria and think why they could work or could not work, that would be really great.
Do we intend to have, I'm sure there's going to be some security concerns, right? If we're maintaining a central index or we have a blessed index of plugins, you know, those are executables that are running on everybody's machines. What do we intend to do for a kind of a security review for those, or just kind of hands off? You know,
Actually, didn't we say originally that we weren't going to manage a central index?
Yeah, and that was my understanding too.
Yeah, so we moved the repo over just so that like half of the project doesn't stay at Google. So primarily right now, this is the only way crew works. Like without that, we actually can't work at all. Like we didn't add support for multi-plugin indexes. And I think maybe like we should probably like schedule some time to discuss about like benefits, like advantages and disadvantages of the centralized plugin index. So last time this topic came up, we basically said that I think it was a meeting that Mathieu was leading here. We discussed and said, you know, it's basically like we're not trying to be the packagers of plugins. Like, you know, if you think of Canonical or Red Hat, for example, the way they package Linux packages, and they look at the source code, they provide patches, and, you know, they make releases. We said we're not going to go that route. We're just going to be a medium, like a centralized index where people list the plugins. We'll just make sure that the checksums add up, and, you know, the code is coming from a particular repository. But we said we're not going to go take a look at your code, and we should make it clear that users are installing plugins that are not necessarily safe. And the outcome of that, which we haven't done yet, was let's add a warning. Like every time you run crew install, they should see a warning saying you're about to install random binaries which are executable to your machine. Are you sure? Something like that. That was the outcome we reached. But, you know, I'm happy to discuss that as well.
Okay, I think I was part of a different conversation.
Yeah.
I know that the one where we originally said that crew makes sense as a sub-project, we said we were going to do multiple, like you can add the plugin repository as a crew command, and that's just what you need to do. And when we started out, there would be, when you installed crew, it wouldn't have any repositories in there.
Yeah, we're slowly making our way there. Like we haven't gone to that yet. Like we have a somewhat sizable backlog in Cornelius, and I have been working to get there. Yep. It's still like definitely a thing before we like go out and talk about crew more publicly. Like we want to, it's a very frequently asked feature. So yeah, we definitely want to have the multi-index support.
Yeah, because if we update the KDS.io documentation for plugins to say package it as a crew plugin, but the only way to install something through crew is adding it to that single index, then that means like we're going to have kind of like a single point where anyone who creates a plugin, we're recommending you come to us and ask us to add it to some index we maintain. Is that correct?
Yeah, currently it's exactly like that.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
Yeah. I mean, we've been trying to like find ways to automate it. Like, I've been thinking of like potentially auto merging like release bumps or writing a tool that automatically goes and bumps the releases. But again, I think we're actually spending a lot of time on litigating the plugin names, because there are like people are writing really weird plugin names, like, and we don't want them to exist necessarily. Like we're making PRs to their own repositories, actually changing their plugin names. So we're trying to like make sure there's like a bit of standard in the ecosystem right now, and it's taking a lot of time. Like, should we be guardians of this? I'm not sure, but right now I think it's actually helping the community overall.
Like I guess my biggest concern is we may want to use crew to like for project plugins, right? Like you were saying, like maybe SIG Networking has a plugin they want, right?
Yeah.
And so they add it to crew, and then in our documentation we say crew install that plugin, and then we're kind of teaching users to just like install things with crew, which I think is fine, but it might not be. We're teaching them to ignore that warning.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like we're doing it through kind of an untrusted source.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I think like if we make the indexes like tappable, like you say, okay, I want to accept the responsibilities of downloading plugins from this particular index, meaning I trust this index, then there will be there wouldn't be a warning as such. And then the centralized index possibly could be like that as well. Like,
then the centralized index, then we can ship crew with the centralized index, which is only plugins published as part of the Kubernetes project.
Yeah,
right.
I think something like that would work, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, realistically speaking, I think we're like still 3 months away from anything like that. But I think we'll get it, some functionality supporting multiple indexes. That's it, like having more discussions around centralized indexing will probably a few more months.
Okay.
Cool. And if we just add what we just agreed to also in the meeting notes, that would be super helpful. Okay, so let's move on to stand-ups, to SIG CLI related sub-projects. Can we start first with Jinfeng with Customize?
Sure, I'm happy to give some update on Customize. So in the past few weeks, we released a new version of Customize, which is 3.0.2. So this version includes a fix of some webhook related name reference, which blocked the KubeBuilder users. So we fixed that issue and released a version for that. And besides that, I'm working on the extended patch that I have presented in the last SIG CLI meeting. So the patch is going to work for both strategic merge patch and JSON patch. So based on the content of the patch, we can determine which type it is. And based on the selector that specified in the customization file, this patch can be applied to multiple targets. And so right now the implementation is mostly done. We added the transformer, we added a lot of tests. And the next step is going to add documentation and example for this. So once that is completed, we will release a new version of Customize. And then another update is about recently we received many PRs from our community contributors. One of them is Jeremy Brett, the other is Yujun Zhang. So they both work on some fixing some bugs and respond to the issues or problems that user reported. And they are very helpful on fixing those and improve our documentation and test coverage. So very appreciative to their help.
That's great. You should send out a tweet or something thanking them.
Yeah. And also, if you could add their names at the bottom of this stand-up, since I didn't quite get that.
Sure. I will add that. So that's the update for Customize.
Great. Thank you very much.
No problem.
So I'm going to do the update for our kubectl independence. So we've actually reached a very, very good milestone in that we have begun moving kubectl code into staging. And we've merged the first PRs. Right now, we've moved some of the code under some util code, some code that is at the lowest level of the dependency hierarchy, and it's actually a small percentage of the kubectl code, but it's still very exciting that we've begun to move it. And if you have any time to help out to pitch into this effort, it would be very appreciated. And it's actually, there's some difficulty in coordinating these PRs just because of the dependencies, and we have to, some of the moves are kind of difficult and need to be coordinated amongst several people, because your PR might end up conflicting with somebody else's PR move. And anyway, we've run into plenty of those types of issues. But as I said, really exciting that we're beginning to move kubectl code into staging, and we've already gotten the first, I'd say, about dozen PRs merged. And then I went on vacation, and it slowed down a bit. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about our kubectl independence and moving the package kubectl code into staging? So for those who aren't as familiar with the effort, once we move this code into staging, then basically the code will be reusable, and it will be available from the kubectl repo instead of being stuck in the kubectl main repo or the kubectl KK repo. Okay, why don't we move on to CUI? I was hoping to get a stand-up on CUI. Do we have any of the CUI developers with us today? Nope. Okay, we'll take that one off. Hopefully we'll get an update next.
Why don't you send an email out to the list asking for an update next?
Okay, got it. Okay, so we don't have any other topics to cover today, but number one, if you could add your name if you attend, and since we do have extra time and we do have some contributors who I haven't had a chance to meet, and I think some of the rest of us haven't had a chance to meet, if you want to introduce yourself, now would be the time. I'll start off. I'm Sean Sullivan, co-chair of SIG CLI, work at Google, and I'll cede this to whoever else would like to to introduce themselves to the rest of the SIG CLI community. No takers?
Hello, my name is Richard Marshall. I work at the Ask Media Group. I've been recently trying to contribute more to the customers project and help out how I can with that.
Great. Pleasure to meet you, Richard.
Hi, my name is Brian Munene Muduri. I work at Andela, Kenya. Just joined the CNC of open source contribution. This is actually my first meeting. Nice to meet you. Thanks.
I'm Matt Irons. I mostly just joined to get a sense of how the SIG process works and as a reminder to get closer to it, since Kubernetes is increasingly a big part of my job and CLI is an interesting aspect of it. I look for Providence and Joseph Health in an infrastructure role.
Pleasure to meet you, Nat. Anybody else? I'd like to give a quick shout out to Mikolai Radchuk. I see that you're on today, and I know that he did some of the thankless work of fixing some flaky tests, and just want to say hi and thank you.
Hello. Yes, I'm here. Thank you. My name is Mikolai. I recently started work at Red Hat. Partially thanks to SIG CLI, by the way. So yeah, I'm trying to contribute to kubectl whenever I can, and welcome everyone who is new to this SIG CLI. So hello.
Good to see you're here. Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting unless anybody else has anything else. Give you guys back some time and enjoy the summer if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. Okay, cheers.
Later.